Dave?
Let me check. Are we working? Finally working?
This is what a mess.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Duluth Conservative. This is this channel where we talk about news stories you may or may not have heard, especially when it comes to Duluth, Minnesota. I know a lot of people here that do not get information. They don't see news stories, so we're going to go through those news stories. We will talk about each one, maybe in depth, maybe just cursory. We'll put the links in the video when we post it from live to regular video, and then we will that's it. That's our show. So not for tonight, but that's our show in general. This is our 50th episode, and it marks 1 year that we've been doing this.
Yeah, actually, specifically tomorrow, but yeah, it's 1 year anniversary, so that's pretty cool.
Not bad.
YouTube Bulls only shut us down a few times, so it's not too bad. We'll work on that.
I wanted to start out really quickly with a list of people that, so we've got these protests going on down in Minneapolis, anti-ICE, they're across the country. And I struggled to figure out what they're actually protesting, because suddenly it's a problem to have ICE agents coming rounding up illegal aliens out of our country. So the Department of Justice has put down this page. It's on the Department of Justice homepage. It's a list of all the people that are in this country that they've picked up and some of the things that they've been charged with. So you can see they're arrested in Moose Lake, convicted of sex assault, assault and homicide, assault, aggravated assault. So if you're down there in Minneapolis and you're protesting the ICE agents picking these people up, congratulations, you are protesting in favor of people that are killing people and assaulting them, both sexually and non-sexually. And at some point, will you not reflect on what you're doing and say, is this the right thing to do? Instead of just doing it, which seems to be what's happening, actually reflect on, is this the right thing to do? Is this helping anybody? Is this what we should be doing? And then I would have a question, if you come to the conclusion that's still right, why haven't you been doing this for years? Because ICE agents have been picking up illegal aliens in this country for many, many years. And it was much more prevalent in the Obama administration. He had more agents, they deported more people, and there were no protests. But all of a sudden, it's because it's the topic du jour. It's what you're being told to be angry about. People get angry about it and try to deport people. And that's the problem. It's you're not paying attention. You're not figuring out, why am I protesting this? Is this a good idea? So I hope people start reflecting on why they're doing this, because they are really trying to protect really, really bad people in this country. And we're going to debunk some of the deportation disinformation. ICE has arrested people on the streets because sanctuary cities won't turn over criminals when asked. If they get caught at the police station, they get arrested, the cities will release them instead of helping ICE. And that means that these ICE agents have to go out in the community. It'd be much safer if, once they're apprehended by the police, they turn them over to ICE to be deported or processed in the federal agencies like they should be. The second thing is, out of the 650,000 plus people that ICE removed, 65 to 70% had committed extra crimes after coming here illegally. So to take out the fact that they're here illegally and they shouldn't be here in the first place, they've committed extra. That's 65 to 70%. And there's things like child abuse and murder and trafficking. They're bad crimes. Only about 170 people of those cases were mistaken identities. That's like a 99.99% correct arrest rate. Mistakes get fixed quickly, and you cannot have a system where you have zero errors. I don't care what it is. You will always have errors. That's a pretty good track record, 99.99%.
Right.
And ultimately, what this is happening is, because of the Biden administration, if they didn't let in 10 to 15 million people illegally into this country, this wouldn't be necessary. Now, I've said this before, Dave. I don't like this happening because it's a waste of resources, a waste of time. I really don't wish this to be happening. I wish it wasn't necessary, but it is, because of the conditions they've done, especially in the last 4 years, but for the years before that. We're going to free up housing. We're going to free up hospital space. We're going to free up tax money that, well, should be going to helping people, but apparently it's going off to different countries. So that's what I had to say about that. What is your thought?
Yeah, I mean, all this money that we're wasting right now could be going for schools. It could be going for property tax relief. It could be going for, I mean, anything. Like the Duluth, you're talking about Duluth fraud. They haven't really proven it yet, but the community action development thing, where all of a sudden they're missing, hundreds of thousands of dollars out in Lincoln Park, to provide. So it's not just it's money all over the place that we could be using for the correct things, but
Right.
we're still wasting it. If you look at the opioid deaths that are just mysteriously went down completely in this year. Well,
Right.
why is that? Well, we closed the border, so there's all these next level of effects that happen because one, we get rid of the people transporting the drugs. So, and yeah, that's one thing I just don't understand is what are they actually protesting down in the cities?
Yeah, and we got a good comment here. I'm just going to about it. It's a psyop. It's a distraction from what's going on, especially with the fraud investigation. So it's just they will find a thing that they can focus on. They'll find a tragedy of some sort, and they will focus on it, and they will put all the resources onto it so that people will pay attention to it, and this is what they'll focus on. They can hurt these people. It's sad that they can figure out how to get these people manipulated and get them to do what they want to. And keep this in mind, if you're doing it, they don't care about you. They care that you're doing this. They don't care about you yourself. So if you get hurt, injured, arrested, killed, they don't really care because you're serving their purpose, which is causing a distraction.
Which
And
was
that's
last
sad.
week's word of the day, or word of the week.
What was
Fodder.
it? Fodder. Yeah, cannon
Yeah,
fodder.
they're cannon fodder, and they're going out in 25 below. The people that are funding it aren't going to jail, aren't standing out there with them. It's useful idiots standing out in the corner trying to save child molesters.
Well, that reminds me. I got a notification that there's a big protest going on tomorrow at like noon. It's going to be some general strike. They're asking people not to go to work. They want to cause a big mayhem down in Twin Cities. It's going to be 25 below. We're going to see just how dedicated they are, because
Right,
that is
exactly.
not a comfortable thing to be standing outside in for any length of time.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, now we see their dedication, and the rich people funding it that want this won't be there with them. So.
Oh no, they don't get their hands dirty. They just send the people out there. I've heard of people getting paid extra because they cause problems. They attack people. It's pretty bad. All right, let's go on to Duluth news. And I want to say something first before we even get to the news items. When I was driving into work today, going down Lake Avenue, got through a green light, and that was my mistake. I didn't wait for all the traffic to go through the red light that I was going down. So as I was going through the green light, I got T-boned. And a truck basically, I think, is going to be a lost cause at this point. But I want to say this. The Duluth police were there almost immediately. The fire department was there because they thought I was stuck in the truck. They did a great job. So you got to hats off to how they handled it. Everybody was so nice. And here's the thing about living in Duluth. The guy that hit me, super nice guy. You couldn't be mad at him. He's just like, he was apologizing all over the place, making sure I was okay. By the time I called the insurance company, he had already filed a claim. So it's, that's the nice thing about living in Duluth. The people are really, really, really nice here. I think he's from Superior, but still, it's the area, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But I want to say, Duluth police did a great job. They came in, they handled the situation, they called the tow truck, they got all their information, very professional. Oh, and then I went to Arrowhead Auto Body, by the way. Great place to go. My truck was originally taken there, but the insurance company decided to take it away. But dealing with them, they know what they're talking about, and they do a really good job. So, and I'm not getting paid for this. They're not asking me to do any of this stuff. I'm just saying, Arrowhead Auto Body did a great job. Duluth Police did a great job. The firefighters, everybody was, if you're going to have an accident, hey, do it in Duluth, I guess. Maybe that's not the best, but
Well, for full disclosure, I am related to the owner of Arrowhead Auto Body, so, but I didn't know that you brought it up there to speak with him, so.
Oh, I didn't even know you were related to him. I just knew that.
Yeah, well, it's a really, really too long of a story to deal with, but yeah, we know him, but he's basically retired. He still owns the place, but he doesn't show up on a day-to-day basis. So the people that you talk to have no relation to myself or what was going on. So it's good that you're getting proper service from a business. So that's the main thing.
They're really good. Okay, on to Duluth news. You ready, Dave?
I think so. Oh, we lost our banner, but that's
all right. Hoops Brewing is set to close after nearly 10 years in business. So this is a Duluth-owned brewery located in Canal Park, open since 2017, located near the Red Lobster, which I can't believe is still open, but it is. And this is sad because you hate to see a local business leaving. Now, does it say why on the article, Dave?
No, but I know that they've been having troubles for years, and we just lack of business and too much regulation. They're a brewery, so they can't serve food. So basically, they set up an agreement with Red Lobster to bring food in, or at least set up a window so they can bring food in. But it's one of those stupid regulations that a brewery can't serve food, basically, so they have to pawn it off and somewhere else. So just another over-regulation, just another thing, for Duluth to be throwing businesses out the door. So,
well, here's the problem: we're losing a lot of businesses and a lot of wealth from this state because this is coming. Not only is it city level, but it's state level.
Correct.
And then the businesses say, I got to get out while I can. Look at what happened in California. They're rushing out of that state. It's happening in Minnesota too. We've lost, oh God, I can't remember how many billions of dollars in revenue from business. We used to have big businesses here. We don't anymore. They're owned by China. They moved out. It's pretty bad. So we need to cut some of the regulations in this state so that the business have a better opportunity to, thrive and actually work. Because they're not in this for the fun of it. They are trying to make money.
Well, yeah, take Medtronic, the largest taxpayer in Minnesota. They moved their headquarters to Ireland because it was better financially for them. So Minnesota lost another big company.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I want to move on to the big topic, which is our thumbnail. I don't know if you saw it. Exploding trees. Have you seen this?
Not really. No, I haven't seen that one.
So they're saying that we have an exploding tree risk in this area because it's going to get so cold. So if I don't know if you've seen it, 25 below tonight, high at 13 below, I think tomorrow. And this is going to go on for the next few days. That's living in this area. So I just want to tell you that it is possible for trees to explode. Not like they're going to blow up like Nagasaki.
Right.
They could break and they'll expand, but probably won't happen because it has to be a sudden drop in temperature. And right now we've been cold, so it's not going to happen this time, most likely. But it happens to maple trees a lot, I guess. Maple is in there and it kind of gets blown up. So,
well, I was hearing some weird noises when I went out to start the truck. So it's like, well, that explains that.
Well, you might hear that trees do adjust, and so does your house. Yeah. But don't worry if you're walking in the woods. It won't be like World War II where the shells are going off all over the place. Let's see. Okay, let's move on. Minnesota legislation. Former sports broadcaster Michele Tafoya announces campaign for U.S. Senate. So she will join a short list of other candidates, which include Minnesota State Minority Leader David Hann, former NBA player Royce White, retired Navy SEAL Adam Schwarzy. Shortly after Tafoya announced her candidacy, Senator Tim Scott, the chair of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, endorsed her. So she's a sideline reporter for football games. I don't know what her credentials are.
Well, she was. She spends a lot of time on Fox News as a guest reporter, and she has her own podcast.
Of the other people I've heard Royce White talk. I like Royce. I think he might have too much baggage to win, but I'm not sure. And I've heard Adam Schwarzy, and we actually did an interview with Adam, a few months ago. That guy's solid. He's an ex-Navy SEAL. He knows how to get things done. And he seems like a real solid guy to me. So I will not discount her, Michele, but I need to see more of her. Of what I know right now, Adam Schwarzy he's a good guy. He's a good guy to look at.
I just didn't like the fact that the chair of the National Republican Committee just automatically endorsed her. Let's find out more about what's going on before we, make a decision like that.
Right. Yeah, but his endorsement means not much, right? The only people that really listen to him, I don't even know who he is. So. Yeah,
but he seems to be in some sort of. He's a big shot in the Republican Party, so.
Yeah. So am I. Sorry. Let's move on to Tim Walz news, Hal, shall we?
Yeah.
Department of Justice serves grand jury subpoenas to Minnesota Democrats in an investigation in ICE obstruction. So Tim was part of it. Keith Ellison, who's done absolutely nothing since he got into office except for trying to get Trump out of office and filing national lawsuits or suppressing Minnesota voters. He doesn't do things for people in Minnesota. He's all about anti-Trump, Trump derangement syndrome in a big way.
Yeah.
Let's see. And Mary Moriarty, as we like to call her, Bloody Mary. So that is that they've been subpoenaed and about ICE obstruction, and they should be, because what happens is Tim Walz, especially, he does this tacit agreement with the people. He never comes out and says, go home, don't protest, this doesn't make sense. He always tries to make an excuse for it. So he needs to maybe shut up. And Frey too, right. Mayor Frey from Minneapolis, he's not doing it good. And we showed that clip last week where he was saying, people are calling in and want the police to go against the ICE agents, and the chief of police is behind him going in a 1,000-mile stare like, oh God, what have I done? And then he said, and apparently Walz has invited Trump to see the state, to see our values in action after the ICE feud. So the governor's invitation came as he and other Minnesota Democrats officials were served the grand jury subpoenas. That's convenient.
Yeah. No, but to me, that's just kind of him admitting that he's wrong. Because it's like, well, we need to, instead of fighting Trump, he's, sort of throwing out a pleasant invitation for him to come and have coffee and look at the state and almost like like I said, an olive branch look how nice we are.
The problem is he's schizophrenic about it. I mean, just that one tweet we showed last week, he's like, we need to cool this down and don't escalate because that's what those people want. I mean, he doesn't get it. And I wouldn't trust him. If Trump came here, how could you trust what he's going to do? You never know. Right. I hope he doesn't. I
would doubt that Trump would show up for that reason.
No, he won't come here for that. No, he might come here for Mike Lindell.
I can see Mike
if
Lindell.
He's going to endorse him. I don't know if he will.
Well, and that's 10 months from now. So let's,
Yeah. Well, no, the endorsement will come pretty soon.
Yeah, the endorsement will come, but soon. But will Mike Lindell stay in the race? We don't even know a lot of this stuff. There's just way too much to predict.
Well, the first thing is the endorsement from the Republican Party. And So what I know is, what I understand right now is Lisa Demuth, who is the current co-House Speaker, she's running for governor, and Kendall Qualls is running for governor. And those are the only two, I believe, that said they would abide by the endorsement by the Republican Party. There's a good reason why Lisa would do that, is because if Lisa's not going to get the endorsement, she's not going to fight the battle and maybe not win and then not have a job at all. So she'll stay in her Republican House seat and she'll rerun for that. Kendall Qualls is the same kind of boat. I think he's the kind of guy that's like, all right, if I'm not going to do the endorsement, I'm going to get behind the candidate and try to help him win.
Yeah.
The other people haven't said that. So it could just be a fight all the way through the primary, which would be a long time. And that would be a lot of wasted money to do that. I have seen Lisa speak. And of the people I've seen so far, I think she is the most confident, powerful, and experienced person I've seen out of all the candidates. That doesn't mean I don't like the other ones. I like Kendall Qualls a lot. But I think Lisa, in her speech that she gave, the one I saw, she came across as a lot more, I think, gubernatorial, let's say.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen Mike speak. I haven't seen some of the other candidates speak. I still have to make up my mind about who I'm going to endorse, or not endorse, but go for. I don't think my endorsement really means much. But I'm interested to see Mike Lindell speak, and I will be seeing him speak in about a week and a half or something like that, which would be nice.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him. I mean, we always see his commercials and stuff like that. It'd be nice to see him on the subject, see how much he knows about the subject.
Yeah.
And it's, does he know exactly what the problems with the state are? I would assume because he's a Minnesota businessman, he would probably know a lot of the problems. But we want to know how much he's going to be as a politician versus a businessman, and not just because he's going to have Trump support. So,
see, that makes a big difference. That's the juice. People will pay attention to the race if he's in it, at least. We got a good comment here, and I think this is right. I think someone in corporate America is a good candidate. I agree with that. I like business people that have actually run a business and done things, to be candidates, as opposed to people who are lifelong politicians. So I agree with that. And like I said, millionaire becoming a politician is not a problem, but a politician becoming a millionaire, that is a problem. And I agree with that too.
Right. Well, I mean, they're saying the same thing about Trump on his first run. It's like, well, he doesn't know anything about government. He's a businessman. Well, he straightened out a lot of things.
Here's the funny thing about it. Not knowing about government means that he doesn't have that mindset. You can't get it done. He's just used to being able to get things done. And you can see that happen. One of the best things was that during COVID-19, he said, we're going to get a Navy ship into the port in New York City. And I remember this big, they were basically laughing at him. You can't do that. You can't. There's no way. And he got it done in like 2 days, and they never used it.
Yeah.
But you just, when you got a business guy in there or businesswoman, they know how to get things done. They don't see the obstacles. They see the path of how to get it done.
Correct.
The job of a bureaucrat and people that live in the government for a long time, the job is just staying in your job. That's not what we need for politicians. We need people that'll fix problems and then get out. Who wants to be in there forever? I couldn't imagine being a politician for 20 years. My God.
Yeah, we can go back to last week when we were talking about Duluth waiting another year to do and spending $200,000 more for the Lester Park golf course.
Yeah, a land study to find out if a golf course will work on a golf course.
Right.
I don't know what they're going to call it. I don't know.
Exactly.
I remember when I was in the Lester Park committee meetings, there was somebody talking about, we got to find out if the runoff's going to go in the Lester River and all this. It's like the golf course is there. If it's going to run off in Lester. They're not going to change the, the whole sloping of all the holes. That's crazy.
Yeah, Trump already had like 4 amusement parks set up and the golf course and 75 restaurants and 100,000 apartment buildings.
Yeah.
We get a land study.
I just want to bring up one more comment. And I think this is kind of akin to what we were talking about, is they're already going after Ilhan Omar for her sudden millionaire status. This is like 4 or 5 years. She was $40,000 in debt. And now she is a multimillionaire. And just because she's in government service. That's not how this is supposed to work.
No, but according to the filings, it was her husband that made all the money. But he was zero when he came in when they got married. So they were basically used her connections to get him a ton of money.
It's interesting how coincidentally people get into federal offices suddenly become really good at the stock market, really good at investments, all of a sudden, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to move on to Minnesota news and Minnesota fraud. We're going to have a section on fraud, I think, until we get this thing sorted out.
Yeah, we need a new banner for that one.
Minnesota Department of Human Services has given over $724 million to an NGO whose name has been protected as masked to protect not public data. So why are we masking non-government organizations' names if they're getting almost $1 billion? Look at that. And it's a great chart. It's paid to who? Why isn't this public? If this is public money, then public money should, that should be all public.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you go back to the Hermantown data center.
Oh yeah,
there people are complaining about the NGOs, or not the NGOs, but the NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. Well, this is the same thing. The public needs to know it's not the government's money; it's the taxpayers' money.
Yeah, and we talked about this too. If I was at a job and the company came and said, we might want to do a deal with you, but you're going to have to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and I did that and my boss didn't know I did that, I'd be not only fired, I could be under a lawsuit. Right. Well, it's the same thing with government officials. Don't do that without your bosses knowing about it. Who's their bosses? We're the bosses. Right. So if you're going to sign a non-disclosure, tell us. Doesn't mean that you have to disclose secrets. Obviously, they're going to disclose some stuff from the company information, but we need to know you're doing it. Right. Otherwise, it's very shifty. Yeah, I'm going to do a public service here, Dave.
Okay.
Allison Johnson wants a shout out. She's got a shout out.
Well, she's got a cute dog, so she deserves it.
Okay, sorry. So down in Minneapolis, we had a bunch of anti-ICE activists storming a church during service to scream and shout. And some anti-ICE activists have actually been arrested for it now. So we are seeing some. And I thought, well, that's good. And then I saw my next article, which is Don Lemon will not be charged. A judge in Minnesota has said, no, you cannot charge Don Lemon. So just like most times, the young people and the little people get charged, but the named people scot-free.
Yeah. However,
one of those guys that you saw in that picture, though, he's an agitator. That guy, he was the one going, come at me, bro. And then they did go after bro.
And they got him too. He was all mouthy, and they got him. The guy in the high vis said, "Come get me." Okay.
Yeah. So they're not charging John Lemon yet, but like our comments are saying, I think they're going to find a way. I think they need to. Now, contrast this, and I don't have the article for it, but there's a woman that goes around to these things, and she's a conservative that asks questions. She was arrested and jailed in Florida just recently for doing that, for being a reporter. So she was outside just asking questions. She got arrested. Yeah. These guys go into a church during service where people are just trying to mind their own business. This isn't like the Vikings going through it when people are in church service and attacking the city while people are at service. That's what they were doing. Let the people do their Sunday worship. They're there for peace. It's a Christian church. So this is all just to get attention, and Don Lemon's trying to get back into some sort of name, and he succeeded. He's in the news. Hopefully he's in the news soon about getting perp walked.
I did hear about him today. I couldn't find an article on it, so I don't know how true it is. But there's three organizations that do the credentials for journalists, and all three of them pulled his credentials away from him. So as far as they're concerned, he's not a journalist anymore.
Yes.
So and I couldn't verify that by the time we got online here, but that's what I heard today. So
yeah.
What does that mean? Well, nothing. He can still say he's a public commentator like Nick Shirley is, and go do the same garbage he's doing. So
yeah, but if you're gonna spout rhetoric, if you're gonna whip people up, you can't keep doing that. I mean, you're not helping. Try to help. That would be nice. And you put on here the FACE Act. It's a 1994 U.S. federal law protecting access to reproductive health services and places of worship by making a federal crime to use force, threats, or physical obstruction to interfere with people seeking or providing these services or worshiping. So this is now directly to the church service. This is a federal law that apparently they've broken. So I think sooner or later they're going to get Don Lemon on this.
Right. And did you see what year that was?
94.
Yeah,
that sounds like a Clinton year, right?
Who was president under that time? So we have another Democrat law that the Democrats are breaking.
They don't like it now. They liked it back then. They don't like it now.
Correct.
All right, more Minnesota news, kind of a hard right. House approves repeal of a 20-year mining ban near Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. So for people who aren't in Minnesota, up north, we have this thing called the Boundary Waters Canoe Area. It's all just pristine forest and lakes, and it's a beautiful place to go, and people can retreat there. And so we had this mining ban near it. It's not in the Boundary Waters, it's near the Boundary Waters. And we have a lot of helium and I think nickel up there.
Yep.
So just banning mining outright is disastrous for this state. We have people that live up there that rely on mining for a living. We have people in the United States that rely on precious metals for all things like computers and electronics everybody uses. And helium is something that we just have an abundance of, apparently. So I don't think banning mining is appropriate. I think making sure that the mining is going to be safe and clean is appropriate. We've got a lot of wildlife stuff. We don't want to make a mistake, right? We don't want to have a disaster, because even if there's penalties involved, if we make a mistake, that land is not coming back for thousands of years. So we don't want to screw it up, but we do want to be able to get our mining out of there. So there's got to be some sort of way to negotiate that so that we can get mining, but we can also do it safely and cleanly. So getting the moratorium off of it is the first thing. It has to go to the Senate. I think it's going to pass there. If Governor Walz has to sign it, though, it's going to be a problem. I don't think he'll sign it.
No, this is a federal thing, because Biden, with an executive order, he's the one that canceled all of the leases out of the Boundary Waters. So what Representative Stauber did, I think he's District 8 in Minnesota, he's the one that got all that reversed through the president. And I guess the president signed it. We'll have to verify that. But so now the Boundary Waters is open again, so that so mining in Minnesota can actually become something that we get a tax base out of it. Therefore, our schools get money, the cities get money, everybody, it gets helped out. Yeah.
So the minerals in the state are for the people that live in the state. That's the boundary of it, is that we own it. One of the things is we need to be able to take a piece of that. As Minnesotans, we should get a piece of that mineral coming out, that profit. But it has to be to the point where the businesses can still make a living and make a profit. So it has to be negotiated pretty finely.
Fairly, yeah.
The other thing is getting benefits from it. That should go to people who've lived in the state for some time. Like all this, like welfare, food stamps, all that stuff. I think there needs to be some sort of time that you've lived in the state and put something into it before you can start taking out of it.
So we can thank Stauber for fixing that problem in Minnesota.
Yeah, Pete Stauber is a big mining guy. He's a big union guy. He wants to get jobs up here, and I agree with him.
Yeah.
We're going to take a sideline before we go to the next one because we got some comments talking about the Duluth right to repair bill that just passed this last time. And thank you for bringing that up because I'd forgotten what that bill is. I knew we voted on something, but I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah.
There is a lot of potential for fraud for that because you have to contract out the repair and it can be up to, I don't remember the specifics of it at this point. I think it was up to $500.
$500, yeah, I think that's about right.
But you have to go off to a licensed person. So it may be the fact that just any kind of repair is going to cost $500 now. And whether there's going to be a kickback or not, there's a lot of potential. You could see a lot of patterns you could set up if you wanted to do fraud with this. And the city of Duluth voted for it for some reason. So they're going to have to pay the price for it too.
Yeah, because that was one of the comments from last week was, we don't talk about other states, the fraud in other states. Well, we're a Minnesota podcast, so we're going to, right now, Minnesota's the epicenter of fraud. But yeah.
We got plenty.
We've got plenty to talk about. But California, they're talking $76 billion, not including the high-speed rail that never got built. There's tons of other states that are having the same fraud problem, and the right to repair is another fraud problem. But right now, because the blue states are the ones not doing anything about it, so that's what Trump's focusing on.
Yeah, and Donald Trump has said there's massive voter fraud, and we need to fix that because if you don't fix that, you don't fix anything. Because if you can't get past voter fraud, then you can't elect people that you want that will actually fix it. And I always say this is, if I go to my bank, I go to Wells Fargo. I go to Wells Fargo and I say, you know what? I don't trust your online banking is secure. They will send me pages upon pages of what they do to keep my system safe. You go to the state attorney, especially in the last couple of years, you go, I don't trust the elections. And they say, well, you should. And they basically do not tell you anything about why you should.
Right.
So, we got to get to the point where I don't mind losing an election if I think it was a fair election. But losing an election, especially like the 2020 election, where you got all these indicators saying there was no reason that Trump should have lost, but all of a sudden Biden at 2 a.m. got enough votes to win. That just seems like we're running into a big fraud problem federally. And we've talked about it before. I think Minnesota might have it too. Ever since Al Franken won by finding a bunch of ballots in the trunk of somebody's car that took him over the edge to win that election, I think that's when it started in Minnesota, if not sooner.
Right, and if there's economic fraud, there's voter fraud. So
right.
us and other states, that's what has, voter ID is and paper ballots is such a simple way to fix that. Maybe it is perfectly legitimate, but right now the voters don't have that sense of security or a sense of it's real. So,
and if you notice too, just talking about other states, Virginia just elected a trifecta in Democrats. The first thing they're doing in the first days is to make sure that you can do as much fraud as you want. It's not against, basically the law should have just been fraud is now legal in this state.
Yeah. I see that.
And so see what happens. We had a trifecta. It was horrible. They burnt through an $18 billion surplus, raised taxes another $10 billion, increased the size of the government by 40%. And now we have a budget deficit. That's what happens. They just pass all these meaningless laws, unfunded mandates, spend it. And now we've seen that most of that stuff went out of the state anyway. And, suitcases full of cash. Wouldn't that be nice if you just mistakenly got that luggage?
Oh, yeah, I grabbed the wrong luggage at the airport. And
right, $1 million in cash.
Yeah, now I'm worth $40 million. So
that's some walking around money.
Yep.
All right. Last thing in Minnesota news is Amy Klobuchar has filed for possible Minnesota governor run. I've said this for a while, that she is the only one I can think of that could actually win it, just because of her name recognition and the Democrat machine. Other than that, I don't see. Walz isn't going to run, and I certainly don't see the lieutenant governor running.
No, she wants Tina Smith's position. That's what she's running for.
Ooh.
Right, and I did check the government website today, and Amy Klobuchar is officially in as part of the governor's race.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so she officially has a file, and I found it there. The only thing she hasn't done right now is done the report, so we're gonna have to wait till February 2nd, I believe, to get her first report in, to find out how much money she can spend. And right now it's unlimited because it's the first time she's running for governor.
Oh boy.
Right. So most of them can only spend like 4.2 million, but she'll be able to spend unlimited. And the second part of that is, we've talked about the conspiracy theories about it. Well, they're slowly becoming more truthful. So,
well, that's just it. The difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is about 6 months.
Yeah, because if she wins, that she's going to appoint Walz as her replacement for federal senator. So, do
you think she would be that ballsy to do something like that? I would, yes, if that happened, I would be shocked.
The way they protect themselves, I could see it any second of the day that would happen, because they don't, the hypocrisy and all that, they don't care. They want to keep power. Like we've said many times, their objective is to win the election. And hold power. That's
their problem. You don't think they're solving problems? They're solving problems all the time. The problem is, how do I get reelected? That's the only problem they care about. Oh, and how to make a little more cash.
Right. So why would she give up her federal job, her federal insider job, to make money, unless she had a way to secure herself as far as getting insider information? Well, she appoints someone, and guess what? Now they're buddies. She gets all the information she needs. She makes a ton of money off of the thing.
So why she's doing this, why she wants to be governor and give up that sweet Senate position, is because this is the path to the presidency. She becomes a governor of a state, and then she runs as president. Guarantee it.
Do you think that's the path, though?
I think it is. I think governors have a lot better chance of becoming president than any other position that you might have.
Okay. Because I know she ran in 2020, and she was one of the first few that got thrown out. So.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we're going to move on to national news. Yeah, I just want to pop this one up because I watched the Y-Files on YouTube. Talks about conspiracies. It is a fun watch. I have watched many of these videos, and it's a great YouTube channel. Again, we're not getting any kickbacks from this. The Y-Files, it's a really good channel. So I thank you for bringing that up. It's awesome. Even if it's just entertainment, if you don't believe any of it, it's a really entertaining show. It's got a smart mouse fish on it too, so you can't go wrong with that. All right, let's go on to national news, Dave.
I'm trying.
All right, I'll just talk about it. So Trump signed an executive order blocking Wall Street firms from buying single-family homes. This is what we've been talking about for a while too, and I've been talking about it for my Minnesota House run. Is I don't want investment firms, I don't want asset management firms to own single-family houses. They shouldn't own them because they have trillions of dollars in cash. They don't know what to do with. It's monopoly money to them to buy these houses. Right. So it's one of those things where you need to get them out of the market so that people, especially young people that are just trying to get through an apartment and then buy their first house, have some inventory. and it's affordable. Because right now, these houses, even though there are some on the market now, it's getting cleared up, they're way too expensive. And I don't know how you can look at coming out of college and spending $500,000 on your first starter home that's a rumbler in a 700 square foot house. So this is a good move.
Yeah, just think of, instead of on a citywide basis, a statewide basis. Well, we discussed this before, is 40% of Duluth homes are owned by
the rentals.
Businesses.
Yeah, the rentals.
Rentals, yeah.
That's staggering.
But I need to read that bill to see would that affect Duluth housing, because he's talking about major corporations versus, who owns all the Duluth houses? Are we
Well,
going to?
I mean,
but for a statewide, we could get it straightened out though.
yeah. So, and then I can see businesses owning things like apartment complexes or up to N number of houses, maybe 10, a small number. You've got local people here. They're not big corporations. They're local dealers that have 3 or 4 houses. They're property managers. That's a different thing. But things like BlackRock owning houses, that's a problem. They just buy these houses, raise the prices. They'll buy everything in the neighborhood for way above value. And as soon as it starts dumping, they'll dump the whole thing and the whole housing market can crash. It's not good for us. It's not good for America. And I really endorse Trump doing this. I think it's a great move. I think he's fixing problems. It's great to see.
And a company like BlackRock, they can afford to build apartment buildings.
Yes.
They can build as many as they want within ordinances and stuff like that. But they still get to rent out, but people still get to buy single family houses.
Right. And that's the way it should be. And with the house prices so high too, our property taxes are way up.
Correct.
So my property taxes went up by 12%, but they increased the value of my property almost 100% since I bought it 8 years ago. So I am getting double dipped on this taxes like crazy.
Right.
And when it will fail, I mean, it always rises and falls and rises and falls. They don't really adjust the taxes that fast. Your home property values don't go down from as far as St. Louis County goes. They just see it as an investment. Where to get more money.
Right.
Virginia Democrats push bill killing oversight of nonprofits. Yeah, we were talking about this before.
Yeah. This
is how they deal with things in Virginia now that they got the trifectas. You're showing our sheet. They're going after the fraud by not letting you see the fraud. It's kind of like when Minneapolis, I remember this years ago, they had a problem where a certain race of kids was getting expelled because they were being violent or breaking the rules. So the way they solved it was they didn't allow anybody to be expelled anymore. And then they touted themselves next year. Look at what we did. We've taken care of this problem. This race of people are no longer being expelled. Well, you're not fixing it. You're not making it better, but you are changing your stats, which is helping you.
Yeah, they should try to find a better picture of this guy, though. So
that's a great picture. That's
he's
sleeping like my name is Earl.
Yeah,
my name is Earl. Every picture he's got his eyes closed. Let's see. So now we're going to go kind of international, this Greenland deal. So I don't know if you saw Trump go to Davos. This was a thing of beauty. He's actually telling these people what's going on. But he's talking about Greenland and he says how important it is. So there's a deal that's been worked out. I would like to have been able to look at the details of it. My understanding is we can build military bases where we want. And we have rights to mining there, and we don't have to pay for it. But was it Denmark?
Yeah, Denmark. Yeah, that's who owns it.
They're still paying all the people there and the general welfare and all that stuff. So they're paying the bills while we get to put a military base wherever we want and get mineral rights. So it's kind of a really lopsided deal for America. We kind of won on this one. But the trade-off was we don't take it over, because Trump was, he goes all out. He asked for this much when he really might only want this much.
Yeah.
But they freak out about this. So by the time he gets to this much, they're like, yeah, that's a good deal. Let's do that. It's great. It's great to see, because he's on our side. If he wasn't on our side, I'd be really, really upset by this.
Yeah, I mean, didn't any of these European leaders read his book about the art of the deal? You ask for 100 and you're only looking for 10. Yeah.
Here you go.
You burned
Read
them
Trump's
again.
book. One of these days, somebody's going to get him on one. And it's going to be like Patton when he beat Rommel. I read your book.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's one of those things we'll see what's going to happen with it, but that's what he wanted all the time. So
I'm gonna bring up the next one, because we just got a new computer for Dave, and I just don't trust it yet. So let me bring this one up, and then this is Chief
Since
Justice.
we're having so many problems, do you want to try it?
Not yet.
Okay.
Wait for it. I'm going to play this because it's an interesting listen. Let me just struggle through this as I try to share a screen for the first time in a while. Where is it? Okay, so this is a Supreme Court justice.
So I guess I really don't understand your response to Justice Gorsuch on the black codes. I mean, I thought the black codes were being offered here under the Brewing test to determine the constitutionality of this regulation. And it's because we have a test that asks us to look at the history and tradition. The fact that the black codes were at some later point determined themselves to be unconstitutional doesn't seem to me to be relevant to the assessment that Brewing is asking us to make. So can you say more about that?
Absolutely. Black codes were unconstitutional from the moment of their inception because they are pretextual laws that are designed to ensure that newly freed slaves are returned to a condition of sharecropping.
Okay, let me stop you there. They were not deemed unconstitutional at the time that they were enacted. They were part of the history and tradition of the country. And when we have a test now that's asking us to look at what people were doing back then, I don't understand why they should be excluded.
Because they are outliers. They are by definition unconstitutional. They have
Found
been
later,
unconstitutional.
afterwards, not at the time. And if the test says what's happening at the time tells us what's constitutional for this purpose, why aren't they in?
Respect.
Okay, well, let me get her respectfully there.
Actually, a law is always unconstitutional. When it's from its inception,
so the history doesn't matter. We shouldn't care about the history then.
We should deeply care about the history, but the whole point of the Brewing framework is as follows. The history and tradition of the Second Amendment are particularly important because it is codifying a pre-existing right. To figure out in sort of common law fashion what the national history and tradition are, you throw out outliers. And I can think of no greater outlier than blatantly unconstitutional laws that flipped what had been the tradition in states like Louisiana. And during the period before those states were readmitted to the Union, for the purpose of trying to reduce newly freed slaves back to conditions of servitude, made it a new crime, new trespass in order to go about armed on private property. Those are obvious outliers.
All right,
that should not count under the whole point of Brewing.
Mr. Katyal will address it.
So she has a hard time understanding that if it's ruled unconstitutional, that meant it was always unconstitutional. They've looked at the law and said, that's an unconstitutional law. That means it always has been unconstitutional. It's not like it was. So she's technically right. It was legal at some point. That doesn't mean it was a constitutional law. It was just a bad law.
Yeah.
I'm now a lawyer. How is she? How is this a Supreme Court justice? This is one of the easier things that I've seen. She gets everything wrong. I don't understand that woman at all. So great stuff. And then I'm kind of on a theme here. I want to do Jasmine Crockett, because we were talking about how leaders and elected government officials they need to be held to a higher standard, I think. So let me share this as well. I'm sorry, I'm struggling through this here. So we're going to do this and share, and we're going to do this. This is a short one.
They not even going, honestly, they're about to outlaw the idea of white supremacy and white hate. Like, they are about to be like, oh, that's not a thing.
So we're going to outlaw the idea of white supremacy. I don't know what she's going on with that.
Right.
Forget the fact that you're talking about getting rid of like the classification for nooses in a time in which we have seen these random Black bodies be strung up down south. Also, seemingly at a time in which you're back in office, because what you do is you embolden the hate. You embolden everybody to take off their hoods. That is what he has done. He is the one that is producing this nooses in a time.
So she's trying to say that Trump in office is like the Ku Klux Klan being back, okay? And I want to just focus on this here.
Time in which we have seen these random Black bodies be strung up down south.
So did you ever hear of a random Black body being strung up down south?
Not in my lifetime.
Well, and that's the interesting thing, because if you look at it, the last officially recorded lynching in the United States occurred in 1981, when Michael Donald, a 19-year-old African-American man, was abducted, beaten, and hanged by members of the Ku Klux Klan in Mobile, Alabama. In significant legal development, the perpetrators were prosecuted. Henry Hayes was executed in 1997. James Knowles received a life sentence. Donald's mother won a landmark civil suit against the United Klan of America, resulting in the group's bankruptcy. So, despite this, lynchings have not ceased entirely. Civil rights advocates Jill Johnson. So some people are saying they're not stopping, they're just not being called that or something. But there hasn't been lynchings anywhere. So she's claiming right now, this is an incitement thing. She's claiming people are just randomly being strung up because they're Black. And you know what? If that is the case, I would be against it too. That should be handled. That should be taken care of. But I don't think it is happening.
And you would know about it because it would be national news instantaneously.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, as it should be. And
well, yeah, that should be stopped right now and here. There's no excuse for something like that. But look at Jesse Smollett and that. He's trying to incite that too. He puts a noose around his neck, says that he's being attacked, and leaves the noose on until the cops show up. And he got found guilty of fraud and put in jail, but then got let out because he's one of the upper echelon people. All right.
He doesn't lie, even though it was proven. So.
All right. I haven't seen this next one. I want you to bring this link up, Dave, because I don't know what to expect here, but this is Wales' new health ambassador. So you put this on. I want to see what it looks like. Oh my God. Wales?
Yeah. And that's not an insult to her, even, but that's in England.
No, I mean, that's a health administrator. I mean, look at Bobby Kennedy. That guy can like one-arm push-up things, and I can't do that.
No, and the best part was her quote, and her quote was, "People should take care of their health, as without it, life is meaningless."
Well, who can argue with that?
Right.
I mean, she's not wrong. And she can do this. Maybe she was like 700 pounds before and she's getting fat, but you should be hiring somebody who can actually do fitness. I don't know.
It was just one of those things you can't, it's hard. How do you argue with something like that? She's not living the life she's trying to talk everyone else into.
Yeah. Right.
You know, is it a DEI hire, or does she know something that she's not telling us? I don't know. I seen the picture.
Maybe she's 120 years old.
It says she's 23. So.
Ooh. Oh my God. Okay.
Maybe
We're going to move off on this before I
Yeah.
get into a lot of trouble for saying something mean. We're going to move on to health and fitness, which is an important part. We've been talking about this since the beginning. Since this is our 1-year anniversary, we're going to stick to the formula. Dave and I think that health is the most important thing. And if you exercise and you get out and weight train and run or do what you can, even that's walking or sitting up, it's good mentally, it's good physically. Everybody should be in shape. When we were in school, that was a big emphasis. We went out and did things in gym and we were always active. I think that needs to come back to get through some of this mental illness people are having. So we're going to talk about a couple things here. And there's a new weight loss drug that some people take that is very effective. And you see people like Lizzo, I think, was on it.
Yeah.
And she lost a lot of weight. But once you go back, it looks like it rapidly comes back after quitting it. So this means one of two things. You need to change your lifestyle when you lose the weight, or you're going to be stuck on this pill or shot the rest of your life, which is something you do not want.
Right. It basically says you're going to gain back more weight than you started with. So it kind of goes back to just do it the old fashioned way. Eat, find a diet that's correct and exercise.
Right.
You'll lose the weight.
Well, like they say, you gain weight in the gym and you lose weight in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Here's another health and fitness thing. I think that was great. President Trump signed a historic executive order to bring back mental institutions and insane asylums. His quote is, "I hate to build those suckers, but you've got to get the people off the street." So when you're talking about homeless people, you've got three categories, from my understanding. You got the people who just need a small helping hand. They lost their job. They're temporarily out of housing. They need we need a help up. So then we provide that. The second type of person is the kind that can't help themselves because they're disabled, they're elderly, they're too young. So that group of people needs a different kind of help, and they're going to need longer term housing. But then you got the third kind of people that are mentally unstable. That's what this is for. And it's a real fine line between civil liberties and putting people in mental institution. It has to be done really, really consciously and smartly, because there are some people that choose to be homeless. I know of one myself. He lives in a climate where he can do this. He doesn't want help. He doesn't rob anybody. He's not a pest. He doesn't trespass. If you want to live like that, that's your right. There's a lot of people, though, with a lot of mental illness right here in this city, in Duluth, that could probably use this kind of help. Bring them in, evaluate them, make sure they're not a danger to themselves, make sure they're not a danger to others. And then institutions may have to be where they have to stay.
Yeah.
All right. And the last item is the United States is now out of the World Health Organization. Trump has also signed that order. And these are all things I agree with. World Health Organization really showed its hand during COVID-19 about what they wanted to do. We are not beholden to people that we don't get to vote for. And that's the UN, that's the World Health Organization. They're good in theory, but when it comes down to it, you've got to be really careful about these agencies. They just take power and that's it. So what do you think, Dave? Good idea or bad?
Yeah, it's a great idea. We need to get rid of WEF also. Even I'd have to look into NATO a little bit more, but we're getting governed basically by people we're not voting for.
Right.
And that's anytime that happens, that's not an American value. That's not a democracy, a constitutional republic. We need to vote these people in so we can vote them out when they're doing something wrong.
Yes. Yeah. Then we have some control, right?
Correct. And voting voting people out that's the way we do things around in America.
Right.
So
Okay. We're down to the end. We're down to the word of the day. Dave, give us our word of the day.
Today's word is obstruction. And we seem to be, every time we turn around, kind of seems how everyone is, it's in the news consistently. And so a little reminder to the people protesting down in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, obstruction is, I don't like the first one. I don't like
Go on to the ones you like.
The one I don't like is the act of obstructing or the state of being obstructed. Well, you can't use the word in the definition. So
Sure
that one we throw that one out. Number 2, a thing that impedes or prevents passage of progress. Number 3, the action of impeding the movement of traffic on a highway. Number 4, the action of deliberately hindering the police in their duties. That's the one that fits all the time. That's why ICE is getting rid of ICE's police. That's why they're arresting people. That's why they're, if you would help them out, they'd probably already be gone already.
Exactly. And the people they voted for created the conditions of the problem with ICE. So yes,
Correct.
They like to obstruct things. If you're protesting, that doesn't mean you should be able to obstruct things. You shouldn't be able to obstruct traffic, obstruct the police from doing their job. There's ways to protest. And actually, to be honest, I think people need to understand and protest smarter. Who are you protesting? Do you think going out and protesting these cops is doing anything for you? The cops don't care. They don't like it. You're making their lives more dangerous. But at the same time, they don't make policy. They enforce policy. If you want to object, if you want to protest something, go to the people that make the laws that make this happen. And I hate to tell you this, these laws have been in place for a long time, and they were put in place by Democrats and Republicans both. So figure out where your protests matter. If it's just to get on TV, it's not helping anybody.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. The top of the show, we listed the people that they're trying to protect. Why would you want to protect a child rapist in your neighborhood?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start figuring out, is this something I should be doing? Is this the best course of action? And certainly trying to prevent officers from taking people that commit serious crimes. And like we said, go to the DOJ site and you can see all the people they deported. These are people that you're protecting. They may get away because of the actions you're taking. And are you okay with that? Because if they commit another crime, you're partially responsible for that. Can you live with that?
And what if they commit the crime against your family?
Right. And unfortunately, that's the only thing that makes some people understand how serious this really is.
Yeah. I mean, is that what it takes to get people to think, that obstruction to ICE is not a great thing, or obstructing the police?
I don't know.
I mean, you talked about your truck accident today. How many people were protesting that?
Just me.
Well, no. Yeah, just you.
No, I was out protesting it. I don't like getting T-boned for the audacity of going through a green light. No, I'm really happy about that.
But you didn't have anyone slowing the process down and getting, now
Right.
it's cleaned up. And there was a truck accident up by Kohler Buick on Arrowhead Road. They had to close the road. Nobody cared. They cleaned it up. It was done. They do the same thing with the people down in the city trying to protect. They're trying to protect you. They're trying to get the bad people off the streets, and you're stopping them. I don't understand.
Right. All right. Well,
So-
we're going to wrap it up here.
Yeah.
I think we had a good discussion. I appreciate everybody with the comments. I'm sorry we can't get to all of them, but come join us next week. Are we still doing next week? Yeah, I think in 2 weeks we're going to be off. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks
So-
we haven't figured out, but next week I think we're still normal.
We're still on. So we appreciate you guys coming. We like to have these conversations. If you have stories you want us to cover, please send them to us. We will talk about them. We always encourage conversation. We want people to be able to talk as opposed to getting violent. And we may not agree, but I think we can get to a point where we agree on a lot of stuff, as long as we're not screaming at each other. So thank you all for joining. And I think it's still next week. Hang loose, be good. Until next week, I'm Sean.
I'm Dave.
And we are done for tonight. Have a good night, everybody.